Washington Nationals are LA bound.
This moment's huge for this team in the city.
Howie Kendrick with a 10th inning grand slam.
We are not worthy.
Let's go Nats! Let's go Nats! Let's go Nats! Go Nats!
There's something about walking into history that puts a kick in your step.
The city is alive.
For the first time since this franchise formed 50 years ago.
Well, this is something you've never seen before.
The Washington Nationals are only one win away from playing in the World Series.
The Washington Nationals are National League champions.
How do you top a Game 6 for the ages?
How about one for all the marbles?
ABC 7 live in Houston with the biggest night of baseball in Nationals history.
I'm ready to cry now. After momentous home runs, controversy on the way to first, and a manager in a foul mood, the underdog Nats now out to finish the fight with Mad Max on the mound and dogs, babies, and this guy.
I had to skip out on the rehearsal dinner to go to Game 3.
The entire DMV on their side.
The Nats are on the verge of winning it all.
Base hit. I believe, no, 2 runs will score. Robert Burton was right. Talk about insurance. The Washington Nationals now lead 6-2 in the top of the 9th.
I've seen people just running around. It's getting real, y'all. Let me just say that.
All right, Tom, thanks. And as I quote Tom, it's getting real, y'all. There we go.
Out, away.
3-2. Here it is.
We just won the World Series. Houston, you got a problem!
We are the world champions.
Come on, are you ready? I will be hammered at the frame. You wait. I just hope I can stay on the float.
We found some Nats fans that left the stadium. You guys, I said to you, Matt, you don't want to stay for the ceremony. You want to do your own celebrating. And what did you say?
Oh, we're about to go get hammered and celebrate the right way. Woo!
Why not?
Pretty noisy down here.
This is the best.
Baby shark, doo 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 doo, baby shark, doo 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 doo, baby shark, doo 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 doo, baby shark.
Oh my God, are you kidding me? This place went berserk.
This is mind-blowing. This is mind-blowing.
Everybody began to believe in the Peanuts.
The Nats have won the World Series.
We believe. Woo!
The confetti is falling. This is the moment everybody's been waiting for.
He is the people's manager. And one thing he did tell the fans before he went into the dugout in that Game 7, he told the fans, this is you. This is all you. You did this.
Oh, here we go. Starting early. So I'm on daddy duty right now. So we're gonna go to John Gonzalez as Adam Eaton enjoys his champagne. We're gonna check in a little bit later here on the party bus. We're starting early. Best seat in the house. They are 50 people deep on Constitution Avenue. We are the first bus on the parade route. The Washington Monument serving as a beautiful backdrop. The African American Smithsonian Museum. It is unbelievable. I mean, goosebumps.
We're 2019 World Series champs, and nobody can ever take that away from us.
Right now at 11 o'clock, a night in Washington like no other.
President Trump, now the 3rd president in history to be impeached.
7 is on your side with the fallout.
And the latest on how the trial in the Senate could play out.
When you walk out the door in the morning, it will be the coldest so far this season. I'll show you where the coldest of the spots will be.
Plus, even with a guilty verdict, see why the fight for justice isn't over for the family of a murdered college student.
Because this is only the beginning.
And remembering the football coach who was a titan on and off the field.
Now, ABC 7 News at 11. On your side. We begin with a breaking news alert.
And that breaking news comes from here, our nation's capital. President Trump tonight becoming the third president in U.S. history to be impeached by the House. And when the votes were all added up, Nancy Pelosi, as you'll watch here in a second with the gavel, and warning members of her own party, do not cheer, do not applaud. Only 3 Democrats broke ranks in voting on the articles of impeachment. The first, abuse of power and soliciting interference from a foreign government. That's Ukraine. The second article was obstruction of Congress. President's aides who had been subpoenaed to testify never did. Tonight, ABC 7's chief political correspondent Scott Thuman with how we got here.
Well, just a remarkable evening here on Capitol Hill. We knew this day would come. We also knew the likely result, but it didn't take away from the drama that unfolded.
Article 1 is adopted.
It was predicted, but still a sobering moment of gravity rarely seen in American history. Along mostly party lines, the House Wednesday impeaching President Trump. Democrats getting what many sought after for so long, even if reluctantly.
Today, I will vote to impeach the President of the United States. I want you to know that it does not feel good.
I want to warn you, what you're about to hear is disturbing. Here's 7 on your side I-Team reporter Scott Taylor.
Try to backhand you right in your teeth. How's that for anxiety?
According to parents, that's a secret recording of an instructor talking to kids inside a special education class at Berkeley Heights Elementary School in Martinsburg, West Virginia. Amber Pack sent her 8-year-old daughter to class with a recording device after the child didn't want to go back to school.
I'll punch you in your face.
A different instructor in the same class.
Well, you gotta go pee-pee? Pee-pee? Or do you not have to go pee-pee and you just want to go across the chair?
There's more.
I'm gonna pull your hair until you stop crying. Don't throw it. Don't throw. Animal, you. Yep. You winch. You're like a pygmy. You're like a pygmy.
The next day, Pack alerted the school district and the Martinsburg Police Department.
Do you think this has been going on for a while?
Yes. That was the first day I put the recorder in her hair.
One day you caught all
One
this.
day. 8 hours.
You can hear the instructors sometimes singing songs and reading stories to students, and other times...
How your tears dry up so quickly, crocodile. And then she wants to destroy everything in sight. I'm gonna knock you out.
I couldn't eat for 3 days. I was my stomach, everything. I was just so upset, and every time I looked at her, I'd start crying. What is this?
Casey Murphy, whose 6-year-old son Owen is in the same class, says during a late October parents-teachers conference, nobody alerted her to the recording, even though Pack had already handed it over to the school district.
I've never heard from the principal, never heard from the superintendent, never heard from any of them.
It wasn't until November, after Pack posted a clip of the recording on Facebook, that Murphy became aware of it.
I'm gonna beat your butt. For sure. You know, and you're gonna get one just cuz.
It's sickening. Like, people don't even talk to animals like that, and they're talking to nonverbal children who don't understand why they're talking to them like that. They're not doing anything wrong.
On the recording, the instructors tease and refuse to give Owen food.
Growl at me, I dare you, and you won't get one. Go ahead. There's nothing says I have to give you a snack. Nothing. Looks like you get nothing, Owen. Sorry, buddy.
The Berkeley County Prosecutor's Office found no criminal wrongdoing, but County Prosecutor Katie Wilkes Delegati told Casey Murphy, "I am not in any way condoning the verbal treatment of your children by the individuals in the classroom." Right now, all 3 instructors are on paid administrative leave.
I don't understand why you treated her the way you treated her. She did not deserve that. No kid does.
The school district, which declined multiple interview requests, is still investigating and says state law prevents it from sharing information. The Civil Rights Division of the U.S. Department of Education right now is getting involved with its own investigation. Now, we reached out to all three of the instructors, and so far we've only heard back from one, and they're telling us she doesn't have any comment.
It is absolutely disgusting, and as a parent, you are infuriated when you see that.
Yeah, that is really, I don't know how these mothers just stayed so calm. It's standing room only at Monday's Berkeley County School Board meeting, and emotions are at an all-time high as parents ask for multiple resignations of school district officials.
I ask you that you do the right thing and you turn in your resignation immediately.
7 on Your Side broke this story wide open, and now the school district superintendent is stepping down. Here's Scott Taylor in Martinsburg, West Virginia.
Berkeley County School Superintendent Manny Arvon wants out, and Board of Education members voted to accept his retirement. Former Berkeley County Schools special education teacher Christina Lester and former aides June Urish and Christian Dowdy all in court after their August arrest on a misdemeanor charge in connection to a secret classroom recording that a student's mother claims revealed disturbing comments by instructors to students in a special education classroom.
Trying to backhand you right in your teeth. How's that for anxiety?
Can you tell me why you made the comments on the recording? Would you like to say anything at all?
No comment.
This is a wild story on both ends. Uber and Lyft drivers say their pay has been cut so much it's hard to feed their families and make their car payments. Now they say they are forced to manipulate the Uber and Lyft apps into surge pricing. What they do each night, simultaneously, all of the drivers will turn off their apps, tricking the app into thinking there are no drivers in the nearby area. That makes a surge, which means passenger prices double, triple, even quadruple, and it all happens in less than 2 minutes. Every evening, this Uber and Lyft parking lot outside Reagan National Airport fills. 120 to 150 drivers queue up, sometimes for hours, waiting for the busy evening rush. And nearly all of these drivers have one complaint.
Uber, they don't pay us enough.
What company is doing, they are actually defrauding all these people by taking 35 to 40%, and they're taking all this money because they have no system of accountability.
Do you guys all agree with that?
Yes, definitely. Yeah.
After 2 to 3 years of pay cuts, these drivers say they now have to fight back by artificially manipulating the Uber and Lyft apps into higher fares.
All the riders, we wait over here, so we know the airplane when kind of landed. We wait like 5 minutes before. We pump, we turn our apps off, all of us, at the same time, all of us. We turn our app off. They got the surge by $10, $12, sometimes $19, and then we turn our app off. Everyone will get the surge.
This driver explains how they organize it.
Someone is stand by this corner, I stand by this corner, and the other one is stand by this corner. And we just like, hey, turn the app off, and then go online.
Now watch for yourself as our cameras roll for tonight's first planned surge.
Wait! You gotta wait. Wait.
This man runs the operation tonight. We've agreed to obscure his identity. He alerts drivers that the time to shut down is just around the corner. Using another app, he knows the precise moment to have everyone power down, ensuring the largest surge.
Hey! Wait, you gotta wait. All right, go on. Go. Take 12, take.
So the surge is currently at $12 and rising. He watches his phone closely, waiting for that exact moment when it's time to power up.
It's still going up.
Is it going up?
It's still going up. A 14. It's 13. It's still going up.
It's gonna go up?
It's 13. Don't go on yet. You on?
Yeah.
You on? Refresh it.
And that quickly, it's over. Passengers will now pay an additional $13 on their fares.
It is midnight here in San Pedro Sula, and this is where it all begins. They're boarding buses. All of them are heading north. If you talk to some, they'll admit the ultimate goal is to make it to the United States.
This is the reason I'm leaving, this man told us.
He is trying to make it to the United States, he said, because low wages here make it impossible to support his young family. This man says his tattoos make him a target for gangs, so his only choice to leave.
Those can get him killed?
Sí. Honduras is one of the poorest and most violent countries in Central America, surrounded by Spanish-speaking nations with stronger economies. Panama and Costa Rica have had generous asylum policies. And to the north, Guatemala and Mexico have been open to migrants in recent years. But despite that, many still choose the 1,600-mile trek to America.
It's been drilled into our heads since forever that it's the best nation in the history of the world. Why wouldn't anyone who's trying to save their life go to the best place?
Honduran photojournalist Tomas Ayoso has been documenting this flight for 4 years.
It is an exodus. At some point, only biblical terms come to mind when you talk about it.
A project he's entitled The Right to Grow Old.
These are the feet of a 15-year-old boy who walked through Mexico as he was trying to get away.
In flip-flops.
That's what he had.
There is poverty, violence, and corruption here. Some argue in the last few years there has also been change.
My daughter is in Tennessee.
American pastor Stephen Petty believes that staying in Honduras is a better option.
I tell them, don't go. It's not worth it. What you're doing is breaking up your family. And that's what's hurting Honduras now, by all these people leaving. Unless they leave as a family, but they don't.
17-year-old Axel and his 14-year-old girlfriend were leaving the day we met them. The gang was recruiting him, and he said no, an answer that he says will get him killed.
You know it's a long journey to get to the United States.
Yes, it would be better for us to make that difficult journey many times than staying here and losing our lives, he told us.
What do you worry about?
That we can die along the way, she said. They zip up their worldly possessions into 2 small backpacks, say their final goodbyes, and walk off to an uncertain future.
What do you think about right now when you watch him walk away?
Tanto peligro en el camino.
All of the dangers that they're going to have to face along the way, she told us.
When do you think you'll see him again?
No sé.
I don't know.
No sé.
I don't know, she said. Axel told us all they have now is each other, what's in their backpacks, and God.
I went home and I pulled out my photo album. And I came across that picture, and it made me really uncomfortable. And it made me shudder, but I didn't know why. I started having flashbacks to the abuse. I buried it in my head. He was our friend. He was just always there. And we all thought so much of him. I feel so bad because I was his first parish. And I didn't tell on him. And I feel so much guilt for those that came after me. And I know that others came after me because I've spoken to them.
The very things that make us feel safe, accepted, and loved, like home, faith, and intimacy, have been forever altered for countless survivors of priest sex abuse.
He'd abuse me in the base of my house and then go up and have dinner with my family. And I would sit at dinner and think, doesn't anyone see I'm different?
All of my adult life, I carried this secret. No, I've never told anybody about this.
They're trying to keep as much of Bill Reineke's history buried as is possible because it's obvious he had a long and he had a very detailed history of sexual abuse of young people that goes way back, and they don't want that known.
In 1965, the oldest Roman Catholic church in Virginia, now known as the Basilica of St. Mary in Alexandria, was home to a young 26-year-old priest by the name of William Reineke. That same year, 13-year-old Kelly Arnold began as an altar boy at St. Mary, Becky Ianni was in elementary school and, at the time, an enthusiastic member of the parish.
He was a brand new, newly ordained priest. He came to our house and he sort of adopted our family. He came and he ate dinner at our house 2 and 3 times a week.
My parents idolized the man. He baptized my baby sister.
In fact, Arnold grew so close to Father Reinecke he eventually addressed him by his first name.
No, the parents loved this man. Everybody loved Billy. Everybody loved Billy. You can't get around that fact.
Years later, Father Reinecke ascended to Chancellor and Vicar General, among the most powerful positions in the Diocese of Arlington, positions allowing him to review pedophile priest complaints.
The pedophile was in charge of all the other pedophiles.
But long before he attained the esteemed title of Monsignor, Father Reinecke groomed and sexually assaulted children like Becky Ianni, who says her torment lasted from ages 8 to 12.
This was pictures of me at all the different ages. You know, I became a lot more serious as time went on because of the abuse. I became a different person.
Ianni, now an advocate for abuse survivors with SNAP in Northern Virginia, says Father Reinecke cost her nearly everything: her self-confidence, her faith, and her smile.
Because I knew that God could read my thoughts. And I thought, if he knows this is happening, then I'm going to hell. So I just buried it until I came across this picture.
Ianni says when she was 48 years old in 2006, she found this haunting Polaroid. It's Father Reinecke sitting beside Becky on a couch during the time of her abuse in the 1960s. After seeing this one picture, the memories flooded back.
On a frigid Friday morning, just 4 days after Christmas 2017, Jordan Way returned home to a hero's welcome in Maryland. The 23-year-old Navy corpsman's death was a shock. He died not in a combat zone, but following routine shoulder surgery at a California naval hospital.
My son died, and there's no accountability. How can this happen?
It took Dana and Susie Way a year to get answers to explain how their son died. In agonizing calls after surgery, he told them he couldn't get relief from excruciating pain, despite a trip to the ER where records show Jordan was disheveled, sobbing, and in obvious distress. He was also given increasing doses of a powerful painkiller prescribed by military doctors, then carefully doled out by friends who kept watch. Jordan's autopsy said he died from opioid toxicity.
When I last talked to him, he was slowly dying, asking for help, and 3 days of make it through the weekend, don't be that guy. Here, take more opioids. And he died. Because he did what the doctors told him to do.
If their son was a civilian, the Ways could have filed suit, claimed negligence. But since 1950, what's known as the Ferris Doctrine has generally barred active service members and their families from suing the government for medical malpractice. Battles to overturn the law have gone as far as the Supreme Court, which has repeatedly rejected the challenges. Now Congress is trying again with a bipartisan bill named after a Green Beret who testified in April with labored breath that military doctors repeatedly missed the cancer in his lungs until it was terminal.
It shows you just how important this issue is. You have Republicans and Democrats realizing that this is a weakness in the military.
Republican Congressman Guy Reschenthaler is a Navy veteran and former military lawyer. He says the Ferris Doctrine needs to be overturned.
If you're horrifically injured because of medical malpractice, if you're misdiagnosed, you cannot recover for that financially, and neither can your family members. Where if that happens on the outside and you're a civilian, you could absolutely file suit. So I just want service members to be treated the same.
Defenders of the Ferris Doctrine say there's already a system in place to compensate service members in the form of both disability and death benefits. But that's little comfort for families like the Ways, who buried their son at Arlington.
It's not about the money. It's about holding people accountable
in the military world the way we hold people accountable in the civilian world.
The Ferris Doctrine to me is a terrorist that has taken our service members hostage. Our active duty military deserve better than that.
Oh, that was great.
Playing a round of golf at Blue Ridge Shadows in Front Royal, Virginia has become far more than friendly competition for Tom Ertz and Joe McGuire.
He's a very determined person and a very determined golfer. It's great that he is still out there doing this where we can play together.
I started to play golf with my buddy here, and she still beats me, but today I might beat him.
These old college pals have been playing each other for nearly 50 years. Their favorite moment captured in this 1983 picture at the famed Royal St. George's Golf Club in England.
It's a par 5.
Now, in their late 60s, they play with a renewed enthusiasm.
Shot.
Thanks to a lifelong friendship strengthened even more in recent years.
Oh yeah, it's in.
Good putt, Tommy.
In 2008, Tom, a longtime public relations expert in the healthcare field, got the diagnosis he suspected.
And I knew I had something wrong with me, so I figured it was probably Parkinson's.
This progressive disease with no known cure began overwhelming Tom.
I had trouble breathing sometimes. I just get short of breath. And I couldn't take any deep breath, so my diaphragm wasn't working very well, I think. And also, I was exhausted. I was tired. I was going to bed earlier and earlier every night. I was stiff. I couldn't move.
He feared his days of playing golf were over. In 2012, he underwent deep brain stimulation surgery. He says the results were stunning.
It saved my life. This was great. It's great. It feels good.
While Tom feels considerably better, there's much he cannot control. He falls. A lot.
Oh man! Fell down about 5,000 times the last 3 years. It's
that many?
Yeah. Oh man!
Tom has developed prevention techniques.
Man.
He often carries multiple clubs for better balance. He'll shuffle, stutter step, take longer strides, higher strides, whatever it takes to stay upright, whatever it takes to keep playing.
You only get one life. That's the only life I got. And I had fun doing that, so why don't I do it? Until I can't do it anymore. So I'm going to keep doing it until I can't do it anymore.
And it's Joe's job to follow Tom closely with the cart to ensure that he does as little walking as possible.
The falling down part is very alarming at the beginning, but the first time he did it, he said, "Don't worry about me. I can get up, bounce back up." So by the end of the match, it's like, not even paying attention to him doing that.
It's fun playing with Joe because he's got a good sense of humor.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You're out driving me and you have Parkinson's disease. I gotta have a sense of humor.
Yeah.
To be clear, Tom wanted us here so the world could witness not a person with a disease playing golf,
I said, yeah, I gotta be him now. But that tied me up with
but a person determined to thrive in a world that is often arbitrary and unfair.
You try to be there if you can, but he if you ever try to pick him up, he's strong as an ox. So it's he'll get up on his own.
Maybe that's why Tom feels so at home here.
Yes, all right. Purr, yes. All right.
With his lifelong pal Joe by his side.
You getting tired? You got some meds due or something to eat, or want that candy bar in there?
I'm fine right now.
Come on, man. Gotta hold together here.
Yeah.
Bertie, you're playing pretty good. Must be all the fame and fortune.
Fortunate indeed to realize that the place that makes you feel most alive exists within the richness of friendship, spanning oceans and generations, nestled now in fields of green, where it's okay to fall, knowing someone will be there to pick you up. In Front Royal, Virginia, I'm Jay Korf for ABC 7 News.
On something to give us an idea, give us some perspective of how much rain we got in such a short period of time.
Tell us what you've learned, Bill.
So when we look at it yesterday, good evening, guys, good evening, everyone, it was so much liquid, and it wasn't just here in D.C. It was from Hagerstown right down 270, down through the district and into Charles County. But what I wanted to do was just focus in specifically inside the Beltway. So here's the Beltway that goes around. So I took a square of this area. The average precip yesterday, and this was basically over an hour or two, was 2.4 inches. I then looked at the distance and said, okay, that's roughly 336 square miles in this zone. So how much water is that? And it is a monster number. It is over 14 billion gallons. So the question is, how much water is that in the real world perspective? We could say Olympic-sized swimming pools and it fills up, so many. I put it out from here to the Mississippi, essentially, is how long those would stretch. But what I wanted to do was put it locally and say, okay, let's look at the National Mall, for example. So I have it here on the table. So we got the Lincoln Memorial at this end. Here's the Washington Monument. We come down here, the U.S. Capitol. If we could somehow take the National Mall and put walls and kind of harness in that area. It's a total of roughly 480 acres. If we took that and we took the rain that fell, again, just inside the Beltway, we're not talking about the entire DMA, what would that equal? So I'm going to zoom this on in for you. I'll kind of walk on in. We're looking down 23rd Street here northwest. That's, of course, the Lincoln Memorial. It would be up and equal 89.6 feet. It would nearly cover the Lincoln Memorial. We work our way down the mall over to the Washington Monument, which of course the monument's high, it's 555 feet. This would take it up about a fifth of the monument. All those flags that are around, they would all be gone. We take it down a little bit farther down the mall, the museums, all of those would practically be underwater. Nearly every building would be underwater at 90 feet. And then the U.S. Capitol here, the U.S. Capitol is 288 feet, so it wouldn't cover that, but it would cover all of that lower area. That would be underwater. Again, that is how much liquid fell yesterday. If we could harness that within the Beltway, it would be 89.6 feet. Pretty remarkable stuff, guys. We'll send it back over to you.
Wow, that's amazing, and it puts it in perspective,
Right.
It's wow.
A lot of water.
Thank you, Bill. So just...
So did you figure it out? Well, she figured it out. Let's go. Congratulations. Woo! Yeah! Oh my God. So here you go, guys. Here's your baby boy.
It's on inspection day.
It's inspection day. You're being inspected. Chief. I'm stunned.
Thank you so much. Thank you all of you for being here.
Thanks, guys, for making it happen.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Feels all us.
What? No.
It seems odd that an entire neighborhood and strangers living hours away would come out to wish someone happy birthday. But the Weinberger family is blessed to live in a very special community that rose before dawn to pull off a remarkable surprise.
I see a sea of yellow, everything.
Early Wednesday morning, some 200 yellow-colored vehicles, including sports cars, construction equipment, and buses, gathered near the Weinbergers' home in Alexandria. Some drove through the night.
I'm Lieutenant Colonel Patricia Jones Johnson, and I'm stationed at Fort Hamilton, New York.
They came after hearing about Whitaker Weinberger's bumblebee birthday surprise.
At such a young age, he's fought more than all of us have, and I'm just so honored to be here.
Whitaker fought stage 4 neuroblastoma the first few years of his life.
It's been a good 2.5, 3 years of cancer hell.
He was always too sick to have a proper birthday, but now that he's doing better, his mom Erin hatched a plan.
Hi, thank you.
Weeks ago, she asked anyone with a yellow car, similar to Whitaker's beloved bumblebee toy from Transformers, to line his morning walk to school on this, his 4th birthday.
Thank you so much. It's beautiful.
So many people came on foot and in yellow cars that the Alexandria Sheriff's Department helped with traffic control.
Thank you, everyone. I'm completely overwhelmed. I'm so thankful. This is all community coming together, and it's amazing.
And it's fair to say Whitaker was wide-eyed the entire mile walk to school.
You want to keep them all? Thank you.
Despite the unrealistic dreams of a 4-year-old, Whitaker did not walk away with any life-size bumblebees.
Thank you, everybody.
But his family left knowing that good people from far and wide exist around every corner.
It's amazing. I can't believe how great this is. I can't believe how many people showed up. Such an insanely great community that we live in.
Maybe the greatest gift on this day came in the simplest package. It's a card addressed, "Dear Whitaker, my name is Frank. I'm 12 years old and I'm a childhood cancer survivor as well. I'm almost a year into remission. I am extremely happy for you and impressed of how strong you are. Have an amazing 4th birthday." Amazing indeed. I'm Jay Korf for ABC 7 News.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Good morning, Boston Riders.
Everyone that I know that knows Larry says that he's been here forever.
Good morning. Good morning, young lady.
Larry doesn't ask anybody for anything. He just sits out here and brightens everyone's day.
Good morning. Good morning. If they might be feeling down, I'm gonna brighten their day up. That's what they call me, the good morning man. Right here, what kept me going to the graveyard and back to prison. Good morning, sir. Yes, sir. Good morning. Good morning, Master Murrow. Good morning. Good morning.
We're going to get this cleaned up.
They rolled tires, they threw tires. Down hills, in the woods, across alleys and yards. Hundreds of them by the hands of police officers, recruits, public works workers, and Anacostia watershed volunteers.
We're not going to have enough dumpster.
Behind the 500 block of Ridge Road Southeast, police say this man, 56-year-old Deron McDonald, is responsible for dumping 1,000 tires here and in other parts of Southeast, and police want your help in finding him.
It looked like he was using stolen vehicles, loading them up, and dumping the tires over here.
They believe dealers sold the tires to him to dispose of on the cheap, ignoring licensed disposers.
When you bypass that process and pocket that money on the side, you end up with this.
They say they've known about this since before Christmas. This is the day they were able to get all the agencies together to take care of this, and obviously there is a lot to take care of. Police say the tires are headed for a transfer station and then the landfill. In Southeast Washington, I'm Sam Ford, ABC 7 News.
It's a gift from God. God gives all of us different gifts. That's one gift God gave me. I came out of a little town of Pekin, 250 people, and here I am, set the record of 1,250. I was a gambler. I gambled 62 years. I quit gambling like 2 years ago. I started hitting these balls, and I'm getting close to making some. I never missed. It was like a machine. 1250, 500 in a row, 707 in a row. And that night, I made 1,250 shots in a row. At 2 o'clock in the morning, they wanted to stay open because I did not miss. And I was so exhausted, I was ready to quit. Yeah, I was 50 years old. I'm 81. My nickname on my jacket is Mr. Spot Shot. It was a gift.
Thank you, Washington, for coming out for the ABC7 Toys for Tots Toy Drive.
It's a great opportunity to give back where you actually grew up.
It's been great this year. And what a great place to do it at here at the Iwo Jima Memorial.
Happy holidays from ABC7.
Now at 6 o'clock.
Today's a sad day in the people's house.
On the verge of a presidential impeachment.
Today we're summoned by history to do the right thing.
The clock ticking on an historic vote on Capitol Hill.
The only urgent threat to this body is the clock in the calendar and the desire to impeach the president before we go home for Christmas.
Both parties calling it a sad day, but the division is clear.
Our Constitution deserves standing up for, not Donald John Trump.
This is a terrible time. This is a date that will live in infamy.
The president charged with abusing his power and obstructing a congressional investigation.
A clear and present danger to our democracy.
Hours of debate.
Vote yes on these articles of impeachment.
The voters will remember next November what you're doing this December.
Good evening to you from Capitol Hill. We begin with that breaking news. History unfolding here as the House now is taking up the vote to see whether or not to impeach President Trump.
We are live from Capitol Hill, where this is now entering its 6th hour. These lawmakers have been debating since about 12:15. We're talking about the members of the House. They are going through their sides, trying to defend where this should fall. The Democrats calling for impeachment, making their case. The Republicans defending President Trump. So right now the House is nearing the end of its 6 hours debate, and that means voting on the 2 articles of impeachment could begin within the next hour. The first article of impeachment would be abuse of power. The second, obstruction of Congress. Chief political correspondent Scott Thuman has been tracking all of the reaction pouring in so far from our Capitol Hill bureau. Scott?
Yeah, Michelle and Jonathan, quite a day on Capitol Hill, right? I mean, look, you talked about the debate, 6 hours. Even that was a fight because Republicans wanted it to be 12 hours. That would give everyone about 1 minute and 40 seconds to talk instead of the 50 seconds they were allotted under a 6-hour debate. But Democrats have the numbers, they have the majority, and so they make the rules. And that just paints a picture of what we're about to see, that very shortly they will get to vote and they'll get to take advantage of that majority they hold and impeach the president regardless of whatever defense the Republicans put up. Here's just a very quick snippet of some of the exchanges that we saw today on the House floor so far.
As Speaker of the House, I solemnly and sadly open the debate. Today we are here to defend democracy for the people. May God bless America.
They can't actually pin anything of factual basis on him. The president did nothing wrong in this issue.
It may sound like a broken record, but that is what we continue to hear over and over from both sides. There have been some injected dramatics today as well, though. There was a reading of the Pledge of Allegiance, but a pointed one, stressing certain phrases. There was also a moment of silence for the 63 million Donald Trump voters out there. So we've seen it all, but there's still some to play out, certainly, as we wait for this final vote and eventually the president's rally tonight in Michigan, which I'm sure will be full of headlines. Jonathan and Michelle.
All right, Scott, thanks.
Scott, thank you. And President Trump, meanwhile, will likely be in Michigan when the House votes. Air Force One took off within the past hour en route to a campaign rally in Battle Creek, Michigan.
Now, that's a state he won in the last election, and this is a rally that comes as the approval rating for the president jumps yet again. A Gallup poll found 45% of people approve of the job that he is doing. Now, that is actually up 6 percentage points since the impeachment inquiry first got started. And while the president left town, ABC 7 News has found there are some folks who have come to town to watch history in the making here.
That's right. Our Tom Rousey continues our team coverage from Capitol Hill.
Obviously, it's been a very unusual day here on Capitol Hill, but among all the folks who are involved in the politics are also just some of the usual tourists, including some folks who came here specifically because they wanted to see the House proceedings today. We talked to the Shapiros from New York. They say back in 1969, they almost made it to Woodstock, but they got turned away just before they got there, and they vowed if they ever had a chance to witness history again, they would do it. Well, today was their chance.
It is historic. It's unfortunate and sad that it had to lead to this, but nonetheless, we're here.
But our system is broken. It's not the people in there that are broken, but just the way we operate it.
And they were among a number of folks who told us at the end of the day it was very interesting to be here on Capitol Hill on what will go down as an unusual day in the history of this place. Reporting on Capitol Hill, I'm Tom Rousey, ABC 7 News.
All right, Tom, thanks very much. It is important to note that if the House does what many expect, because it seems to be going right down party lines, they will then vote to impeach President Trump. It is very important to note, though, even if they do that, he does not get booted from office. That's not how this works.
So 7 on your side now is taking a look at what the next steps would be if an impeachment vote goes through as expected. So the next step would be a trial in the Senate to decide whether to remove the president from office. Senators would serve as jurors, while House lawmakers act as prosecutors. The Chief Justice of the Supreme Court will preside. At the end, the Senate must take a public vote, and 2/3 of senators present must vote to convict in order to remove the president from office. And we expect the trial to start in early January. So that's a bit of a timeline for you to look at. Now,
obviously, we're going to follow this very closely. There's a lot of moving parts, and it should get started in just about a half hour's time.
Absolutely. You're looking for that full floor vote on the 2 articles of impeachment. But, you know, the other big story in town is just how cold it has gotten. Now that the sun has set, it is bone chilling out there.
My toes are still thawing out because we spent some time outside. In fact, this morning in Arlington, because of the cold, look at this. This is what firefighters and first responders were dealing with. There were a number of crashes, and most of the officers are telling us because the roads were slick at some point. You can see some of the ice in that picture right now. Chief Meteorologist Bill Kelly's been tracking all this for us. And Bill, as we bring you in, right now the roads may be dry, but holy cow, these temperatures have dropped off.
Yeah, it's amazing, especially when you account for the wind chill factor out there. Good evening, everyone. Clear skies for the most part here in D.C. We're already at 34 degrees officially in the district, 30 in Leesburg, down into the 20s right now, up and down the I-81 corridor, 28 degrees in Winchester, 28 in Cumberland. But those winds, they're going to continue to blow and gust 30, even 35 miles per hour in spots like Winchester. So you combine the temperatures in the 20s plus a gust that high, we have wind chill factors right now that are down in the teens. A bitter cold night, 21 in Leesburg, 17 in Gaithersburg, feels like 22 right now around D.C. We also saw a couple of light snow showers earlier on moving through from the north. Notice, still see some of those near Hagerstown. Coldest morning of the season so far tomorrow morning. The details in just a few minutes.
Okay, Bill, we'll see you then. Thanks very much. And when winter weather hits, Dominion Energy, they've got to be prepared for everything, and especially the weather in the winter can affect the power poles. Well, this morning, crews were demonstrating how they respond to downed power lines. Dominion's rapid response vehicle, it allows workers to get to the neighborhoods much faster. Crews can work out of their truck instead of traveling to the office. And the best part about this, they bring out drones now so that they can fly them up over and assess the damage that much faster to see exactly how much work they need to get done.
All right, still to come.
Look at all those boxes.
The community comes through in a big way for a local cancer patient. What she told us about the outpouring of love.
But first, though, a 7 on your side crime alert after this attack in one of D.C.'s more upscale communities.
Tracking breaking news now on Capitol Hill, where we are nearing the end of debate of the articles impeachment against President Donald Trump. A House vote is expected in the next hour or so. We will continue tracking that story from here at the Capitol. Right now, 7 is on your side with a reminder to be on the lookout for thieves.
Well, this is after a violent robbery that was caught on video. I want to show you something because this is really a telltale sign for anyone going to check out money. You can see this guy goes in to the ATM to get money out. Next thing you know, 4 guys come in with masks. They start beating up on him. This is all caught on video. And those 4 guys ended up getting away with it, but they did get away with about $1,300 in cash, a passport, and also an iPhone. At this hour, police say they still have not made any arrests. But it's a reminder for all of us. 7 is on your side now with some ways that you can protect yourself when you are going to check out money. Here are some tips they offer up. MasterCard is saying that the most important thing is always be aware of your surroundings. Situationally aware is very important. Know what's going on. Put your cash and receipt away immediately. Count the money later so that you can stay focused on what's happening around you. If you see anything suspicious, that's when you just hit that cancel button and just walk away immediately. If you're at a drive-up ATM, they always say, please, please, please make sure that your car is locked and that you're focused not just on what you're doing, but what is also happening around you.
And Mayor Bowser is urging D.C. residents to really secure their personal items. That is very important. This afternoon, the mayor led a safety walk through the Capitol Hill neighborhood of Ward 6. this. Bowser said during this time of year, there is an uptick in crimes like package theft and car break-ins. She also encouraged residents to participate in the district's private security program that gives rebates for cameras installed on private property.
Well, coming up for us, we have a heartwarming story, and it's a follow-up. A local cancer survivor, she wanted a little help. She wanted to live vicariously through you. And she told 7 on Your Side that was her wish. And our viewers have come through in a big way. The community came through, and we'll show you what they did.
And we're also keeping an eye on the Capitol, where the House is debating whether to impeach President Trump. We're back after this.
We're back live now on Capitol Hill. History in the making as we're watching the House of Representatives debate, and they've been doing it since about 12:16 this afternoon. 6 hours of debate from both sides. They actually ping-pong back and forth with arguments for and arguments against impeaching President Trump.
Really no surprises today. The Democrats making the case for impeachment, the Republicans defending President Trump. And as you mentioned, this has now been going on for 6 lengthy hours. The next step is likely going to be a vote around 7:15. We'll be here in anticipation for that vote when it moves to the full floor. And this will be the 3rd time in history that members of the House had voted on impeachment. Meantime, outside of the Capitol, a very busy day. We saw many protesters out there, and they are also making their voices heard. Hundreds protesting, demanding the president be impeached and removed from office.
And again, if everything happens as expected and it goes down party lines with the House made up the majority with Democrats, then President Trump can expect to be impeached tonight by the House. He will then become only the 3rd president in the history of the United States ever being impeached. The first was Andrew Johnson. He was acquitted in the Senate trial, escaping removal from office by just 1 vote. And the second, Bill Clinton, was also acquitted in a Senate trial. And coincidentally, tomorrow actually marks 21 years since that historic impeachment vote for Bill Clinton.
And of course, what's unique about this, unlike Bill Clinton, who was in his 2nd term, this president is up for re-election. So you have that. David Muir will be tackling much more of this for World News tonight, looking at the debate and also the ramifications across the country. That is coming up just ahead at 6:30.
All right, now to a big update to a story we brought you. There was a Stafford County woman. She was suffering with cancer, and she literally just put the word out saying, I would love to get some cards from people so that I could perhaps live vicariously through them, because she was stuck in bed and she was trying to recover and deal with cancer.
And we have an amazing update to this story. Our viewers responded. ABC 7's Caroline Patricus has a story.
I'm speechless.
Jean Lee had no idea when she asked for cards to help her battle terminal cancer that thousands of complete strangers would rally behind her.
Look at all those boxes.
4 days after Jean shared her story, she is overwhelmed.
That's more than yesterday. Oh my God.
By the outpouring of support from people around the world.
These are people that don't know me, and they're reaching out to me to make my life nicer and better and to bring me a little joy.
She's been battling rare cancer since 2003. Recently, doctors gave her 18 months left to live until she proved them wrong. She says receiving cards gives her something to look forward to.
It helps with the depression. Sometimes it's a bright spot in a really gloomy day.
But cards weren't the only thing that arrived. Flowers, barbecue, and chocolates came too.
In fact, today I feel better than I have in a long time. It's like, wow. Just sharing the stories with people, sharing their stories with me, it's done a lot for my spirit.
Jean said one day she'd like to see her staircase railing filled with cards. Now she might need help hanging them all up. In Stafford County, Caroline Patricus, ABC 7 News.
That is a great story and a great problem to have too many Christmas cards. Love the outpouring of support right there. And we have
all I can
her
say, though, is when you
address.
send barbecue, nothing says love like sending barbecue.
For sure. We have her address. If you'd like to send a kind message to Jean this holiday season, just go to our website, WJLA.com.
By the way, if you're procrastinating and getting the Christmas cards out, you have until Friday. The Postal Service wanted us to remind you, get them out by Friday so that they make sure they make it to their destination on time.
All right, let's talk about the weather. We've been saying how cold it is. We knew it was coming, but boy, it really hits you.
Bill, it's not cold. It's freezing out there.
It's freezing
really
literally
cold.
out there. But guys, it could be like this. I want to take you back real quick on this date back in 2009, 10 years ago. This is a photo from an event. This was the beginning of a snowstorm, a major snowstorm that dumped 16.4 inches of snow on D.C. over a 2-day period. The total for tomorrow, the 19th, 15 inches, the snowiest single day ever. And by the way, by the time we got to Christmas Day on this year, there was still 7 inches of snow on the ground. It's the last time we had a white Christmas, and it was the biggest white Christmas that we had when measuring snow depth on the ground. But this day, 10 years ago, was the start of a major, major snowstorm. So outside right now, we have clear skies. We're not dealing with that whatsoever, but we are dealing with the literal freezing temperatures out there for most spots. Still slightly above in D.C. Manassas at 34 degrees, but the wind chill factor, teens and low 20s. That's what I want you to dress for tonight, because that's what it's going to be for the next several hours. The air temperature itself will drop below freezing for the district, probably between 8 and 9 o'clock. Get down to about 28 at 11 o'clock, ultimately into the low 20s. But it's just going to remain very cold no matter where you are across our region. And we're also tracking a couple of these essentially lake effect snow showers that are working their way on down. There is another front that's crossing that's helping to enhance that. But the sunshine today, the energy from the sun, was one of the big factors. So as we go into the night tonight, a lot of that, if not all of it, is going to taper off region-wide, not just here in parts of the district, where we probably will not see any of that. But tomorrow, during the day, I'll run you through basically the entire day, and look how quiet it is across the entire Midwest. It's going to stay that way for our day tomorrow and our day Friday. One of the quieter days I've seen in a long time, certainly leading up ahead to a big holiday, which, of course, travel plans are going to be big. So for this evening, temperature-wise, it's a little bit windy out there, a few flurries, mainly to the north. It's going to be cold, dropping down eventually to 23 degrees by 6 o'clock tomorrow morning under those clear skies with wind chill factors into the teens. And then the coldest day of the season so far tomorrow with a high temperature, just around, say, 34 degrees or so. I don't think we get above freezing until around noon tomorrow total when we're just looking at the temperature itself. Wind chill factor, we stay below all day. Not as windy tomorrow, just a biting cold day, but dry. 40 degrees on Friday. Look at the weekend, though. Winter officially beginning Saturday night. It looks dry. Start of Hanukkah. That looks dry as well. Then warming into the 50s. Our chance for a white Christmas here is practically zero. But travel conditions are looking really good when we're talking about that. So that's the rub. No white Christmas, but good travel weather. Robert, send it back over to you.
And now, the Toyota Sports Desk, brought to you by your local Toyota dealers.
All right, Bill, thanks. And a huge get for Terps football. A 5-star recruit signing his letter of intent to stay here in the DMV. St. John's receiver Rakim Jarrett became a Terp today. He's a 5-star recruit, #2 ranked receiver in the country according to Rivals.com. Somehow Terps head coach Mike Loxley convinced him to decommit from the top program in the country, LSU, and stay right here at home.
So to be able to recruit a guy like Rakim Jarrett, who was a national guy, it shows the type of character he has as a player, that he's a guy that's a leader. He's not afraid to take on tough tasks. He's not afraid to come be a part of something that's growing. Glad to have him be a Terp.
That's a huge get right there. Meanwhile, on the pro level, Dwayne Haskins is getting ready to face the Giants again. Last time he saw New York, it was bad. Threw 3 picks. He was thrown into the fire after Case Keenum was pulled. Haskins says he doesn't even think or like to think about that game anymore.
I throw up watching that film. I don't like watching that tape. So it's a totally different guy. I don't want to talk about it. It's done with. Next game. Looking forward to playing him at home. It isn't that I don't like the tape. It's just I'm a whole different player than I was back then. And that's just something that I feel watching that tape, it's not me, and it wasn't me out there. It's getting better every week, so I'm excited.
That game was rough, and that game will be the Redskins' home finale, and then they'll finish up the season in Dallas. We'll be right back.
Welcome back. Quick look at your 7-day forecast. Very cold tonight, down into the low 20s, wind chills in the teens and single digits, but we are dry, so we look ahead into the weekend and to Christmas Eve, Christmas Day. Good travel weather, but does not look like a white Christmas. Guys, we'll send it back out to you.
All right, Bill, and of course, we're standing by for that critical vote. It could come down any moment, and we, of course, will post the latest on our website and on our app.
We should let you know when the voting starts. We're going to stream that live on our app. It's all going to be streaming on ABC7. It's WJLA.com, and also on the ABC7 News app. You can download that for free on your phone right now as the debate and the arguments still continue live in the House chambers you saw there.
Of course, our coverage continues with David Muir. He will be picking things up with the latest on this debate.
We thank you for joining us this evening on Capitol Hill. We'll see you back here tonight at 11 o'clock, and by then, history will have been made.
Have a good night.